Yo, what is going on, guys? Welcome back to another episode of In the Box. Episode 14. Going to be talking a lot about JT Miller. Babs, how are you doing?
I'm great. It's the birthday episode. Happy birthday, Mike.
Yeah,
Let the
thank
fans
you.
know.
Thank you for that. Yeah, January 21st, 25 years old now. Mid 20s crisis is about to start kicking in. But enough about me. We're going to dive into JT Miller, who it's looking like the past basically since Saturday night, like everybody thinks today's the day that he's going to end up getting traded. Has not been the case. We're filming this Tuesday night. There was decent speculation that he might get traded, but it's not looking like it at this point. We'll see if we get a live reaction. But yeah, Saturday night for Saturday's game, he was told that he wasn't going to play, that they were basically finalizing a deal with the New York Rangers for something centered around Philip Hedl, Ryan Lindgren, and a first-round pick. That eventually went away. What's your initial thoughts? Or I'll go first on it. That would be insane for the New York Rangers. As long as they got some type of protection on that pick, because I think we both agree they're probably going to be a playoff team, especially if they get a guy like JT Miller. That would be an insanely great deal for them. Philip Hedl, great talent. He can maybe develop into a second-line center, but at this point, the injury risk is far too great with the concussions that he's dealt with that I think you're perfectly fine trading him, and also you have other centers ahead of him right now, so I would have been perfectly fine trading him. Ryan Lindgren's like a straight-up negative asset. You probably got to attach a second-round pick just to get rid of him. It's only a one-year deal, but that was a disastrous contract. So, yeah, New York, I would have loved that potential deal for Miller. What do you think about it?
I fully agree with you there. I think people, because of the locker room issues and the Canucks' overall struggles these days, are way too hard on JT Miller, who was a phenomenal player last year, had a phenomenal season. To me, it seems pretty straightforward that this decline is not like age-based declining. It's just, his head's not all the way in it. There's bad vibes in Vancouver. He's still going to be a very good player, and he's the kind of tough, two-way, gritty playoff-style player that the Rangers need. If the issues in Vancouver come from him being too hard maybe on other teammates, I think the Rangers might need that kind of a locker room presence. That'd be good for them. Hedl makes sense as the only guy really that the Rangers would trade on the current roster that is good and that Vancouver would want. Vancouver does not want Zibanejad. A Zibanejad
Yes.
trade is not happening.
People were saying, like, oh, if we
People were
attach a
trying to say
second-round
that,
pick
but
to Zibanejad, can we get that done? I'm like, no.
JT Miller is still a very positive asset, no matter how much the tweeting insiders try to say that Vancouver's going to trade him for pennies on the dollar. This would be like maybe 30 cents on the dollar, a tough pill to swallow. But, Hedl is a good player. The Rangers pick, if it's a lottery pick, there's some upside there. I agree with you that Lindgren's a negative asset. I just wouldn't want him if I was Vancouver. Like, give me Hedl and, like,
They're
someone
desperate
making
and
$1 million just to even it out. Because the cap works out really, really close. You don't need the Lindgren cap dump to put Miller in New York.
Miller's $8 million, Hedel's like 4.5. So I think, yeah, you could attach like a $2 to $3 million player. I guess they're just thinking like their blue line is so bad that Lindgren would be an upgrade, which is just a testament again to how bad that defense core is. Yeah, it definitely would have been a good deal for the Vancouver Canucks, or not for the New York Rangers. But now the other deal that they're apparently looking at is with the Carolina Hurricanes. Something around Jesperi Kotkaniemi is what was rumored by people in the Vancouver media. I think that might be even worse because like Hedl is pretty cheap, definitely has some upside. Kotkaniemi has 6 years left at $4.82 million. He has 20 points in 47 games. So something based around that, they'd have to attach like a first, a second, a young prospect or something like that. Like, I think that would be a slam dunk for Carolina if they can get out of that contract of Kotkaniemi. And they're a team where their farm system is pretty good and a lot of their good players are pretty young. If I'm Carolina, I'm definitely all over this. New York, I don't think it like massively tips the scales towards them being a contender for sure this season. Maybe next year they could bounce back in a way. But for Carolina, who has been trotting out like Jack Drury, Kotkaniemi, or like Jordan Staal, who's still great defensively, but not offensively a second-line center, like that's kind of a perfect fit in my opinion. What do you think about the Carolina potential?
I agree. I mean, I said a week or two ago that Carolina felt like the best possible fit for Miller or Pettersson because they're such a good team, and their real weakness is they only have one proven high-level offensive guy in Sebastian Aho. They have other guys who contribute a lot on offense, but they're not proven. They don't have the track record, right?
Yeah,
Nate just doesn't have a long-term track record.
He has like
being
6
great.
points in his last 15 games too. He's gone
Svechnikov
cold.
is fine, but clearly has a ceiling to him. Miller and Pedersen are both well beyond that ceiling. I agree with you fully. This would be even worse for Vancouver because Hedl, while he's kind of risky as a trade asset because of the health issues, is still very good as a player. When Hedl's healthy, I see a top
I could
6
see
player.
55 points on the second
I see
line.
a solid 2 center with upside to get even better. Kotkaniemi is what he is at this point, and he is not a top 6 forward on a serious team.
Yeah, he's straight up a 30, 35 point guy. And in like last year and prior years, he's been good defensively. He isn't even that good defensively. According to Evolve in Hockey, he's in like the 30th percentile right now among forwards in the NHL. So yeah, we're going to keep on waiting and seeing because at this point, every single day, it seems like we're on the edge of a JT Miller trade. But just sadly, nothing has materialized thus far. I just want it over with. It's like Vancouver, similarly with Bruce Boudreau, how they like dragged him out of getting fired. Make a decision at this point. You have like Paul Bissonnette going on Spitting Chicklets and saying that he was talking to the Vancouver Canucks owner at like a restaurant, pleading with him to not trade JT Miller. It's an utter shit show right now in Vancouver. We thought like they were finally over their incompetence after last year. Like so many things went right with that team. And now it just seems to all regress. And it seems like we're in the Jim Benning era again. No, I'm not going to say it's that bad, but like the same gaffes in public scrutiny is back.
Another right prediction I made on this show earlier was that they're going to have to trade one of these guys because clearly the vibes are so bad. And like at this point, there is no way you can just hold JT Miller for the rest of the season. You're too far over the edge on these rumors and this public story swirling.
Yeah, well, according to Bissonnette, what he thinks has happened, what someone I think might have told him is that JT Miller did ask for a trade. It just publicly, JT Miller's not going to come out and say like, oh, I want a trade. And also what's tough with this is he has a no movement clause. So
we don't
I'm
even
sure
know if he's waived it yet.
Yeah.
There's been like mixed stories about whether he's even been asked to waive it
yet.
yet.
Yeah, I'm sure he would have been willing to go back to New York, but maybe he doesn't like Carolina that much. Maybe he's waiting for like the right opportunity. Maybe the New Jersey Devils swoop. Do you think New Jersey a good fit? I would hate that, not gonna lie.
I think it's gonna come up with who we're talking about next.
yeah. New Jersey has enough of their things. You want to just dive into that?
Let's do it.
Okay, Simone Nemec, in a Slovakian newspaper or website, did an interview and was quite critical of his deployment this year in the AHL. Because last year he played like 62 NHL games, basically once Dougie Hamilton got hurt. He came in, and here are just some of the quotes that he said. I've gone through the toughest period of my career. It's over now, and I'm playing my hockey again. I guess he was dealing with an injury. Now he's back. It's hard to say. It's too early to request a trade. If this situation continues, it will have to be addressed. But for now, this is how it stands. And I believe I've proven multiple times that I belong in the NHL. I have to wait for another chance and grab it when it comes. And yeah, I don't blame him. I thought he easily should have started this year at the NHL. I get that they brought in guys like Brendan Dillon. Kovacevic has been very good for them. But I think they're planning on re-signing Kovacevic. Like, I don't know where the avenue is for Simone Nemec to get NHL time this year as well as next year if they bring back Kovacevic. And yeah, again, last year he was very productive. Maybe he had some defensive lapses, but his underlying offensive numbers were fantastic. He put up around like 30-point pace. I don't even think he played on the power play at all last season. It's weird. You really thought that he was honestly like ahead of Luke Hughes based on what we saw last year. They were about the same equal quality of guy. Luke Hughes just played on that top power play. And now it seems like there's friction. And now he's getting mocked in every JT Miller hypothetical trade. So what do you think about it? Do you think that they should trade him? Do you think big JT Miller trade?
I think the Devils should trade him because their window is open now. And clearly he's not going to help them out now being in their AHL team. I agree that the path is really tough and blocked. I mean, with Seamus Casey down there, he might not even be like number one of their like defense prospect depth chart in that sense.
He's a righty as well, I think. Yeah.
I respect Nemec a lot for like talking about this because he's factually right when he says that you just don't see this happen with like second overall picks to play in the NHL their second year and then get demoted into the AHL their third year, which like it's factually true. He was not bad, but he still got demoted. And I don't see a path to promotion because again, the Devils are win now. If they don't think he's in their top 60s, they should probably trade him because the rest of the time he's just going to spend in the AHL. I think that between him and Jirasek, it's going to come up. I expect more and more with these young guys. Gautier's another example. Rucker McGroarty's another example. Like the newer wave, especially the non-Canadian guys, are taking more and more agency. And like, I'm a person too. I want to have some kind of, if not like full control over where I go, at least like the ability to earn a spot in the lineup. Like for someone like Nemec, right? If I'm going to be in the AHL 3 years from now, why am I not just playing in Slovakia still? I could be doing just as much in Europe as in Albany, New Jersey. Albany's in New York.
State capital. Yeah, I get what you're saying. It's oddly similar to the Jiracek. Those two guys were the consensus top 2 defensemen in the 2022 draft, and based on what we saw last year, we thought that they were their team's future franchise defensemen. I'm not. It obviously depends on the market. If you can get something akin to a Jiracek return, a first, second, third, whatever, like third, fourth, then maybe you do that and then flip that for an impact guy like a JT Miller. But I still think for the New Jersey Devils, their defense core is kind of old. Yes, they do have Seamus Casey. Yes, they do have Luke Hughes. But it's not like Dougie Hamilton's going to be at a high level for the entire Jack Hughes era. Brendan Dillon's only signed for 3 years, and he's like 33, 34 years old. So I think that there is some short-sightedness. If this was the New York Rangers, where most of their core is above the age of like 27, I think you would seriously look at trading him. He would be a massive piece that could fetch you a serious impact guy. But for New Jersey, who I truly believe can dominate the next 8 years, I'd still like to believe that Nemec, despite not killing it this year, even in the AHL, still should be prioritized a solid amount in terms of being a part of the franchise, a part of the core.
My holdup is the one really interesting mock trade I've seen people say online is put Nemec and Palat together for Miller and then use Miller on the wing. And I think that undoubtedly makes the Devils stronger this year when, you know, the East is very wide open and arguably the Devils are the best team in the East on paper. The NHL swapping Palat in for JT Miller makes them better on paper this year. Does it help their overall franchise direction? Maybe not, but if you want to max out cup odds, maybe this year is the year to go all in because the East is so wide open, because you look at the only team ahead of you in the standings and you say, I'm really not that scared of the Washington Capitals come May, June.
Yeah, no, I think if that presents itself, that is definitely something you got to look at. I don't really think of that. But yeah, moving off Palat, not only for this season, but again, the following 2 seasons. He still has 2 more seasons, I believe, at $6 million. He stinks. Like, he just straight up stinks. They keep on giving him opportunities within the top 6. Yeah, that would be very interesting. Maybe, I don't know if I love JT Miller being in the same locker room as Jack Hughes and Luke Hughes. He might end up breaking them. But that definitely intrigues me. What do you think about the Boston Bruins? I think they should be, not to go back to JT Miller, but to go back to JT Miller. I made a video talking about it. I think that's like a great fit because that team is fucking screwed right now. Like the Rangers, I think we agree are probably going to figure it out next year. They'll be a playoff team. Boston is completely directionalist, don't have any semblance of a first-line center or even like a high-end second-line center with how bad Lindholm has been. That's like the one ideal, perfect. Like it could fit. It's not like obviously perfect in the sense that they become Stanley Cup contenders, but that could massively change the Bruins.
I think the Bruins are a great fit. You know, if the best alternative out there is Kotkaniemi, then I guess I don't see why Pavel Zacha couldn't be the NHL center going the other way. I think Boston would have to add in quite a bit to make that work in terms of, I don't know, picks, prospects that could be called up there. But I think, like, as far as teams that could use him, Boston for sure, because Boston looks really vulnerable right now. I'm not at all convinced that Boston's a playoff team, even this year. Yeah. Definitely the years to come might look worse and worse.
Yeah, I'm going, not to spoil, like, division standing predictions, but Rangers, Senators right now probably would be my 2 wild card teams. If Boston does something like that, I probably would pick them over the Ottawa Senators if it is a Zacha upgrade plus assets. But yeah, I just want to throw that out there and talk about JT Miller. That's a clear East Coast team that badly needs a massive center upgrade. Speaking of other players, Tristan Jarry, sticking in the Eastern Conference, he got sent down, and they said that this was basically like the end of their relationship. It's really bad. He has an 884 this season after having a 903 last season. It's one of the worst goalie deals in the entire NHL at this point. 3 years left at $5.375 million. Yeah, it is revisionist history on this, that people saying that this was some like horrendous all-time bad deal. It has aged like that, but in the moment it did make sense. He had a 915 over the prior 4 seasons. So I do want to cut Kyle Dubas some slack. But yeah, the Pittsburgh Penguins are just an absolute disaster. On the same day, he gave Ryan Graves 6 years, $4.5 million, and Tristan Jarry 3 years, $5.375. Do you think he gets bought out? Do you think that he gets attached with like picks? I would hate, you should not do that if you're the Pittsburgh Penguins. But what do you think happens?
I think a buyout seems most realistic. It's also plausible that they just bury him in the AHL, I guess, forever, which wouldn't really be great for the franchise or fair to him. But, you know, we've seen it happen before. I mean, I just don't like giving these kind of term contracts to goalies in general. Like, Jarry's in the group of goalies, and it's a really big group of goalies that's like, you know, they can be good on their day, but lots of consistency issues. And, like, those aren't new. Jarry's consistency issues existed before he got that contract. The same as, like, Matt Murray had consistency issues before he got his contract that doesn't look so great. A lot of goalies these days are getting these long-term deals without, like, proving they can do anything over a sustained period of time. Like, not to pick on Seattle, but Seattle has been a revolving door of like, oh, that goalie had one good year. Let's give him a 4-year contract.
The court is playing pretty good. The court's backing it up
right now.
But yeah, I agree.
The court's been good for like 1 season, and they have him for 5 years. It didn't work for Dreiger. It didn't work for Grubauer.
Yeah.
It doesn't work for a majority of
the Grubauer one was everybody in the moment. Like, he was the biggest byproduct ever of Colorado. I think he had like, in 36 or 40 games in that COVID-shortened season, he had like +7 goals saved above expected. Still an above-average season, but like, he was the biggest fraud in terms of a Vezina finalist. Yeah, Jarry, you don't want to overterm above-average goaltending. Like, I still think Shesterkin's deal is going to be perfectly fine. Some other guys, honestly, Sorokin's deal's not looking that very good, but it's fine. After like back-to-back elite seasons, you pay guys. But yeah, if your goalie's just putting up 908, 910, you're better off just trying to find that in the aggregate than locking up someone on a 5x5, 5x6. And I think because you can find deals. Sometimes there's horrible deals in free agency, but we've seen with guys like Anthony Stolarz this offseason, you can find cheap guys on 2 to 3 year deals to kind of be your de facto 1A to a 1B if you got a young guy. So yeah, it's going to be interesting to see if that trend continues, but another disastrous deal in the 5x5 kind of range. We've seen multiple like that, like Jack Campbell, Grubauer. Darcy Kempers was looking like that, but now he's playing really good, as well as, I'm forgetting someone else. Ville Husso got like 4 years, $4.75 million. Yeah, don't overpay mid goaltending. That's the moral of the story. And at least Pittsburgh has the balls to do something like this. And now apparently there's like a fire sale that they might be having, although the only guy that they're willing to trade is like Erik Karlsson.
Don't think they're going to have many takes.
Yes. Yeah, they're going to have to retain a lot of money on that if they want to get rid of Erik Karlsson. Pittsburgh's just a mess. Like, they won't trade Crosby. They're not going to trade Malkin, but they want to retool, rebuild now.
I think the brutal part is I look at the skater roster, and I think this is probably good enough to
Raquel and Rust
like
are playing really good.
Range in the East, right? Because the playoff range in the East right now is not a super high bar. If you get even average goaltending, I think they're at least in that mid-range with like, okay, well, Detroit and Montreal are very much in the mix. Pittsburgh's just as good, if not better than those teams if we pretend goalies don't exist. But they do exist. Pittsburgh's played 3 of them this year, and none of them are saving at even 90%.
Yeah, they're not going to fire Sullivan at this point, but they would definitely benefit from some kind of new voice. Coaching bump is very real in the first like 10 games, and that kind of thing could save their season. But it's looking like they're just content to put up 84 points. Sidney Crosby ties the Gretzky record for points, seasons at or above point per game, and they're going to select 11th overall, and then probably just run it back and do the exact same thing. Like, it's kind of I love to see it because I'm a New York Islanders fan, but it is just, what are we doing? What are we
It's
doing?
kind of concerning big picture too, because it's a long time ago, like pre-Crosby. Pittsburgh was in like a really bad place financially as a franchise,
Almost
and that's
moved.
not a big market. And like, can they sell tickets if the team is not good and not trending anywhere and not being productive? Maybe not. Maybe they're going to be
Yeah.
like the next. When Carolina's not good, when the Islanders aren't good,
about
major
that.
major attendance issues, money issues, no one wants to play their issues.
Yeah. I was. That's a realization that I had like a year or so ago. I was like, Winnipeg should blow it up. Winnipeg should blow it up. And like, there is serious concerns that if they blow it up and a 2 to 3 year rebuild, they don't get a top 3 pick, they don't get that franchise star kind of top end talent, that they could just be stuck. Like a Buffalo Sabres, they're not going to go. Buffalo's a great hockey town, but like if that happened in Winnipeg, if that happened in Pittsburgh, you could get serious talks about potential relocation. Like the financial impact, and honestly, with my New York Islanders, it's going to be really ugly once they inevitably have to go through this rebuild. Yeah, it's not just about sometimes maximizing your Stanley Cup win possibility, win percentage, because there's serious financial struggles that some of these teams have to overcome.
Absolutely.
We just went off an insane tangent from Tristan Jarry. Tristan Jarry is going to be the reason why the Pittsburgh Penguins relocate in 6 years from now. That's basically what we're saying. Print it. Clip it. Next up, Russia and Belarus are having readmission hearings, the 3rd and the 4th. If they are approved, Russia can play in the 2026 Olympics. It would not kick in until the following season, so they wouldn't be at the World Championships. I'll go first, not to get political on this. We're going to talk about TikTok ban in a little bit, but so maybe we are getting political. At this point, what Russia did in Ukraine, not good, very not good. But there's plenty of teams, I don't have to name them, in the IIHF that are allowed to play that have committed atrocities across the globe, United States included, but they're not the only one. I don't think that you should. Maybe you let them in and they don't play under the Russian flag, whatever the Olympics did a couple years ago, like the IOC. What was it that they independent
Olympic athletes of
Yeah,
Russia.
maybe you do something like that. But yeah, maybe I'm being a dumb Neanderthal, but like I just want to see Russia in the Olympics. If I'm not gonna lie, and I think that at this point, I don't think that Ukraine, based on what I've read, Ukraine is going to be taken over by Russia. It seems like there's going to be some kind of what am I missing? Peace. I don't want to say peace, but just like an agreement to stop ceasefire. I don't know, but yeah, I don't think that's going to happen because there hasn't been that peace yet. So I don't expect them to get reinstated, but they probably should be. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I think your overall point is fair. I do think it's weird to reinstate them now because it's not like anything has materially changed in what Russia's doing or what Putin's doing. The only thing that seems to have changed is that a lot less people are talking about it because there are more pressing, I guess, political concerns around the globe for most people.
Yeah.
So it's just, Putin's out of mind, so, like, we forgive you, Russia.
No, they're
like
not going to do that.
If you were never going to suspend them in the first place, I think that would be, fair enough and respectable enough. But I think it would be weird to send like a positive sign of like, okay, now you're okay. Well, what did they do to be okay?
Now that you're not winning the war anymore, it's like it's got just a stalemate right now. Now you're okay. You're not throwing the missiles into Kiev anymore. So I guess there are some progress, but yeah, don't expect it. There's a little bit of a double standard for Russia versus others. But we won't go too much in depth on that. McDavid got suspended 3 games. Tyler Myers also got suspended. I said this multiple times. It's 1,000% justified. Connor McDavid, although he was getting dragged down by Garland, there should have been some kind of call on Garland. It doesn't give you the right to cross-check someone blatantly in the face. In the NHL, I like that they did suspend him for like 3 games and kind of send a message. It's stupid that the Tyler Myers one wasn't more because that was just nasty, defenseless in that, not justified. So yeah, Myers should have been 4 to 5 games, but McDavid, people acting like he's this, that the NHL's going after him. They don't give him calls because this year's penalties are down. He is consistently like top 3 in the NHL in penalties drawn. There's not some kind of conspiracy around Connor McDavid, just a 1 down year thing. And yeah, he deserved to get suspended.
Yeah, McDavid's he's not a dirty player, but that thing he did was dirty. The statement that the Oilers released about
Pussies.
how awful and evil it is that Gary Bettman would do this is lame. It's loser stuff.
Yeah, I saw an Oilers fan suggest that like he shouldn't go to Four Nations because that I'd be like, I'm the biggest loser thing of all time. Like, oh, you suspend me. And honestly, I think it's a blessing in disguise for the Edmonton Oilers because McDavid's gonna have to play at Four Nations, which isn't so like rigorous. They're gonna have like 2 to 3 days off in between games, but he gets to chill in January for a week. He got hurt earlier in the season, can rest up. It's a net positive. And Leon Draisaitl, the Oilers fans,
Draisaitl's the best player who's not going to be at Four Nations,
well,
right?
Well, yeah, he gets to rest up, but I'm saying like Draisaitl, heart campaign, gets 3 games. If he puts up 5 points, because he played really good when McDavid was out for 4 games before. So, Edmonton Oilers fans, take this as a positive. Stop bitching. The league isn't out to get you. You made Game 7 of the Stanley Cup Final. Like, you're going to be perfectly okay. Don't cross-check people in the face. Speaking of the Edmonton Oilers, they made an ad this past week. John Klingberg, after playing like 14 games for the Toronto Maple Leafs last year, having 5 points and being like horrendous defensively, as he is every single season, he underwent hip resurfacing surgery, which is what not Connor McDavid, sorry, I was just thinking about McDavid. Patrick Kane, Ryan Kessler, I believe, underwent it as well. Massive surgery. Usually players can't recover from it. Kane has, thankfully. Amazing recovery by him. I did not expect him to be as good as he has been. But yeah, I'm not expecting jack shit from this. It's a weird ad for the Edmonton Oilers that like don't really need a ton more offense. I guess you take a chance on a guy like John Klingberg if he plays a third pair role. Maybe it's just like Evan Bouchard insurance if he gets hurt to run a power play or something like that. But yeah, he's horrible. Even pre-hip injury defensively. He's basically Tyson Barrie 2.0, but coming off a massive injury and has not played more than 15 games in a season in 2 years.
I think you're being a tiny bit hard on him, honestly. It wasn't that long ago. Minnesota traded for him in 2023, and he had a really nice month-ish to end the season.
What was that, 2023?
23, yeah.
Yeah.
He was solid for like 10 games plus the one playoff series in Minnesota. He like led them in scoring in that one playoff series, which they lost. He was very bad in Toronto, and you're right, this surgery, it's tough. You give 2 very different examples there because Patrick Kane's recovery, all things considered, has been really impressive.
Amazing.
Ryan Kessler went from like a 70, 80-point Selke caliber player to functionally not having a career.
Backstrom, I think, also underwent this, has not been or he returned, was kind of horrendous, and now the Caps have pseudo-retired him on LTIR. So yeah, this is, it's a massive win if he's just like below average third pair guy. That'd be, why not?
I respect it in the sense that it means they won't trade for like a bad power play defenseman. I feel like every year for the last 3 or 4 years, we've seen a team trade like a 3rd round pick at the deadline for Eric Gustafsson.
Yes,
Eric Gustafsson spends the entire playoffs healthy scratched anyway. So at least Edmonton isn't doing something dumb like that. They're just paying money for the guy.
Yeah, they need to worry about the second pair right-handed defenseman, not another lefty that doesn't play any defense. We'll see how that goes. I think maybe he'll play some games in the AHL and then eventually come up to the NHL. But we're gonna shift away from hockey. That's all our hockey talk today. TikTok ban, man. I was nervous as hell Saturday night when that app went out. Obviously, if you've been following me for a while, you know I got my start on TikTok. I think Trump's gonna save it. I hope. I pray. But yeah, it was pretty crazy. What do you think about the TikTok ban? Do you think that it's a good move by the U.S. government?
I personally am not on TikTok.
He's better than us.
I do not think TikTok is Chinese spyware. I think that's nonsense and people looking for an excuse to ban anything. I think everyone wants to be America first, and no one has any idea what that actually means or looks like, which is why you get some people saying, we should be free to use whatever social media we want, and other people saying if the website or the app or whatever isn't American owned, we should ban it, which to me is an absurd stance.
Yeah, it's tough because the creator in me obviously thinks that you should be able to use it. It's by far the best short form, and it's not even short form. You can make 3 10-minute videos. Like I always prioritize the longer form stuff compared to like Reels, Facebook, and all that. But I can also agree that it's like a horrible net negative on society, because as much as you learn like a recipe or something about your health, you spend so much fucking time on it. Like, watch my YouTube, not TikTok. Don't be scrolling on TikToks. Like, people acting like it's the most egregious thing of all time to ban social media. Social media, again, I say this as a social media content creator. I like to think that I make stuff about sports, so it's like somewhat informative, but a lot of the crap on that, I think it can be a good, hopefully this fake ban can be a good wake-up call to people's habits. Because, yeah, literally when they took away TikTok, you clicked on the app and it had just like the warning that you couldn't use it. I like just instinctually like clicked on it like 10 times. Like it was I like went to the bathroom to like take a shit or something. I like flew on TikTok. I'm like, damn it. Like it's scary. And yeah, Instagram Reels, YouTube Shorts, it's horrible. Like the crazy stuff that you see on those, it's all like memes and stuff. It is just the actual it's what boomers think TikTok is what Instagram Reels are. Do you at all do Instagram Reels, or are you just so far above us? You read or write or something like that?
I think that, if everyone spent a little more time reading and less time watching TikToks about how Helen Keller isn't real, that would help us all out.
Yeah, and I forgot to mention, like, X now is also kind of horrifying. So, yeah, social media, it's bad place.
No, I do use a lot of social media, but, like, it's bad for me, and I shouldn't. And you shouldn't either.
Unless you're watching
you
me.
should watch Mike.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and speaking of reading, I didn't put this down, but launch to Substack. We're looking forward to that. Mike Bartner's on Substack. I'm just going to be recapping like daily events from the NHL. It's going to be a morning newsletter every day at 9 a.m. It's going to be edited by him, reviewed by him, because I am pretty dumb and have not wrote like 600 plus words on a consistent basis since years, probably even back in high school. It's not like my finance classes in college were that much of creative writing. So yeah, looking forward to that. That'll hopefully be linked in my link tree and all that. Go check that out. We're going to finish it off talking about, we are all over the place today. Oscar nominations come up. Most people are turning it off right now, but we wanted to ramble about this. Oscar nominations come out Thursday. Yeah, it got pushed back because of the LA fires. Because if they released it during it, the fires would have kept on raging on even more. The Amelia
voter turnout was so low.
Oh, really? Amelia Perez getting nominations would have engulfed the LA in flames. But yeah, so we're gonna talk about. I don't know if you guys. I think I post a lot about movies, a decent amount. Besides hockey, it's probably the most thing I talk about. So we're gonna go through our 3 favorite and least favorite movies this year. So you should watch them or completely stay away from them and never watch them, even if they drop on streaming for absolute free. So I'll go first. Personally, for me, my favorite movie is Dune Part 2 of this year. You gotta obviously watch the first one. And the first one, there was a major criticism with, considering the fact it ends on a little bit of a dud because it's clearly a setup for the second part. Dune Part 2 is just awesome. The cinematography is some of the best of the year. Timothée Chalamet is absolutely insane. He should be getting Oscar nominated for that instead of just recreating or doing a Bob Dylan accent for 2 hours in a story with absolutely no plot. Not going to be on my bottom 3, but I was not a big fan of A Complete Unknown. Yeah, Dune Part 2. Awesome. Great action. Austin Butler is menacing as hell in it. Did you get around to Dune Part 2? Babiak is more of a...
I did not.
The anti-film bro. You did not do too. Babiak is definitely more of a AMC artisan. What's the club that they have? I don't even know what I'm talking about. But what's your favorite movie of the year?
You know what? I want to debunk this artisan pretentious critique. Go watch Hundreds of Beavers, kids. It's bizarre. It's silly. It's people in beaver costumes.
Heard good things.
Live action Looney Tunes, essentially. Just really funny, like shockingly funny. I like watching people get hit in the head and fall down in snow, and the beaver costumes are awesome. There are thousands of beavers by the end of it. Little spoiler there. But what a magical, unexpected surprise that one was.
Yeah, I've heard more of the film bros talking about that being a great time. I have not gotten around to it. My second favorite movie right now is The Substance. I love that movie. It's starring Demi Moore and Margaret Qualley. all my friends agreed with me that the first hour 30 is amazing, but they weren't on board with the ending, which is batshit fucking insane. I loved it. It's not like it's rooted in reality in the first hour 30. So the fact that they just went absolutely bonkers for it, it's a feminist tale about aging in Hollywood, and it's a good allegory for drug addiction in a way. But yeah, it's amazing body horror movie. Two absolutely amazing performances. Dennis Quaid he does a Harvey Weinstein impression. Highly, highly recommended. It somehow made like $70 million on like
Real hit,
yes,
for like
16
a total no-name studio. Too.
yeah, Mubi. Well, I think Mubi bought it from a bigger studio. Yeah, Universal, and killed it. I saw it twice in theaters. If it comes back in theaters, I'll probably drag some more of my friends to go see it. Not everybody's cup of tea, but for my fucked up, twisted mind, I loved it. Carly Fargeau is next up out of France.
Yeah, that was a really impressive one. Not on my list, but was a big fan. Number 2, I'll grab A Real Pain.
Eisenberg.
Yeah, Jesse Eisenberg. It turns out he can write and direct. Just a really a sweet story, kind of tough, but also kind of funny. Kieran Culkin is, playing Kieran Culkin. Essentially, it's Roman Roy, but he's like more overtly mentally ill in this one, and like kind of vaguely a Holocaust movie. They're exploring Poland, trying to trace down their family heritage. It's just it has that Eisenberg type of comedy you would expect from like a mental illness Holocaust movie. So it keeps things like fun and moving. Big fan of that one.
It's two of the most high strung actors of our time.
Very neurotic. Neuroticism going on
yeah.
there.
I haven't got around to it. I will watch it, but yeah, I can't get behind Kieran Culkin being the by far supporting actor favorite when I'm sure he's great, but he's just playing himself. Like he's playing Roman Roy from Succession. Watch Succession if you've not already. Is it like that good of a performance? I'm sure it's a very good movie, but
honestly, I'm not even convinced myself. I think the movie as a whole is amazing. I do think the performance is very Roman Roy-like, and it's like you don't need
just a little
to give it a
shithead.
statue. You can vote for something else if you want to.
The fact, I think,
I'm surprised Eisenberg hasn't been nominated anywhere.
Exactly. I guess it's just all the goodwill that he built after the Emmys is just rolling into this. Versus Eisenberg was playing fucking Zack Snyder's Justice League or something like that. But my third favorite movie of the year, I am going to go with Challengers from Luca Guadagnino, the tennis movie, the tennis throuple movie. It's electric. The score is insane. I watched it again like a month ago. It's a 4.5 out of 5 stars for my opinion. In my opinion, just insane character dynamics. Some of the most creative shots when they're playing tennis that you'll ever see. The lighting is great. And yeah, I think the two supporting actors. Zendaya is also great, but the fact that Mike Feist and Josh O'Connor especially should be getting some serious Oscar buzz. And that movie, because it got released in freaking April, is getting no Oscar buzz at all for the most part, besides score, right?
Yeah, it's unfortunate. It really is just that easy sometimes with these people, right?
That's
you make it come out in the fall,
and it
will get awards.
Yeah, if Dune Part 2 came out in November or something like that, it probably would be, maybe we won't win Best Picture, but definitely would be in the talks. Chalamet would be in the talks.
I expect Villeneuve's not even going to get
nominated.
It's
crazy. That's fucking nuts. That is nuts. All because it was initially supposed to go. It would have been interesting if it was Dune Part 2 versus Oppenheimer last year, like it was supposed to be. But your third favorite movie before we rip some movies.
Third, back to the Succession reel. The one that's been growing on me more and more since I've seen it is The Apprentice.
I liked it a lot.
Not to get political, but yes, it's the Donald Trump movie, but really the main attraction is Jeremy Strong's Roy Cohn is the most committed acting I've seen in a long time.
Donald.
Just a complete soulless monster that you start to feel really bad for by the end of it. Yeah. I was blown away by his work in that one. It's
insane how his character develops, and just throughout seeing Trump become quintessential Trump. Like starting off, he was kind of just a normal guy, then went under such an evil guy's wing, and slowly became the grizzled businessman that doesn't give a fuck that we know now. Yeah, I really like that one a lot. I think the final 45, basically once Roy Cohn kind of departs the story, it loses me. When it's just Donald and his wife and his business ventures. I'm like, I don't care about his brother that passes away. Like, it was sad, but yeah, it kind of lost me there. I still like a B plus, A minus in my opinion, but I liked it a lot. My third worst movie the entire year. Let's go through it. Madam Web was number 3 for me. I love like a horrible comic book movie. This was just horrible. Dakota Johnson, I don't get how she's in like Chloe Zhao's next movie or something like that. Like how she keeps on getting not Chloe Zhao. Was she the one that did
Celine Song.
Celine Song? Yeah, the person. What was her movie last year? I don't want to be racist, but the Asian movie. Yeah, she's the worst. Like Dakota Johnson is just like the worst actress maybe working today, and the villain in it is the worst performance you'll ever see. 60% of his lines were added to after the fact, ADR as they call it. It was a disaster. There's not even like action in it for super. Like Venom: The Last Dance was very disappointing for me, but at least there was some action in that I could enjoy it. Kraven the Hunter, there was action. That was kind of like delicious garbage. This was just horrendous, and it should be forgotten about. Rip Sonyverse.
Yeah, I'm just gonna like echo onto you that because yeah, Madam Web, man, that was bad, and it's crazy because the villain, very talented French actor, has won several international awards. I've never seen him act in an English movie, and like
you might never see him act in one again after this. Like it's so bad, and like
so bad.
His like henchmen that like this is what they would look like without masks, and it's like the most stupid, or like this would be them de-aged, and it's like it's so Sydney Sweeney's bad in it. She's kind of a horrible actress, I'm not gonna lie. Great in Euphoria though. Who else? Yeah, just bad. My second least favorite, Mean Girls the musical. I did not have high expectations. The original is a banger. Even as a dude, I can admit that's one of the best comedies of all time. It's horrible. It's a musical, and the lead actress and Gowrie Rice can't sing like a fucking lick. Renee Rapp plays Regina George. She's fine, but it's just horrible. Like it's a shot for shot of the first one for the most part. But again, a musical. Sure, the Broadway play was like half decent, but it's just bad. It's really, really bad.
I was spared that one. I never saw that.
I saw it on like Amazon Prime. I gave it a chance. I gave it a chance and I regret it. What's your second least favorite?
Number 2, I'll go for The Outrun, Saoirse Ronan.
Really?
Yeah.
I didn't see it.
You were hyping up The Substance as a really creative take on like an addiction movie. I agree. If you want to see the least creative, most cliched addiction movie in your life, watch Saoirse Ronan drink like one sip of beer by accident and then go on a bender over screenshots of the ocean with narration of twee metaphors. Truly just difficult to sit through. A well-intentioned movie that fails in every way to make its point because it has no script and it reaches badly on every idea. Mega disappointment there.
Yeah, Saoirse Ronan, man, like up, Little Woman. You think that was gonna like catapult her, but instead it was Florence Pugh and Chalamet, obviously, that became massive stars out of that. It's kind of been a disaster.
She's got to get back
career.
with Greta Gerwig.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, she gotta be begging for that next. She's doing Narnia though. Yeah, she needs to get some kind of play one of the kids in Narnia or some crap like that. But yeah, it's really unfortunate. I mean, she's still one of the best actresses working today, but compared to other people, again, like Zendaya,
Anya
Taylor-Joy,
like.
Definitely, it's a little bit shocking. She needs a franchise movie. My least favorite, it's not even remotely close. Borderlands. I never played the game. It's the worst movie ever. Similarly to Madam Web, you thought maybe I was like hammered when I saw it in Miami, so I thought like, oh yeah, this is gonna be like delicious garbage, as I like to refer to. Just horrible. You can tell it was reshot 9,000 times over. Kevin Hart plays the straight man in it. Not like sexually. Like, I mean, like he's dead serious in the movie. And it's like, what is going on? Jamie Lee Curtis is horrible in it. Blanchett is the lead in it and is wildly miscast. Apparently, like her character is like 30, 35. Like Jamie Lee Curtis plays someone that like raised her, and they're like 5 years apart. It's embarrassing. And another horrible villain turns into a CGI fest at the end. Truly one of the worst movies of all time. It's probably in my bottom 10 of all time. Like serious blockbuster movies, and historically flopped. I think it made like $18 million total on like $100 million budget.
Brutal flop. I missed that one on purpose.
I had to
everyone
go.
Said
I
it was
had
gonna
to.
be the
It
worst
debuted
thing
with like
ever.
1% on Rotten Tomatoes. So like I have to go. I have to.
Well, I'm glad you enjoyed. My worst movie of the year, and I did have fun watching this one. It was so bad it was fun.
Then it's not a worst movie of the year.
It is.
It's
the
about
worst,
it.
though.
It's
It
a
is the
tape.
worst.
What is it?
Joey King, Netflix,
Oh my God.
Uglies.
What is it?
Uglies.
with
Adaptation
Chase Banks. No,
of
Chase.
like a teenage girl book from 15
Yes.
years ago, where
Outer
all
Banks.
of the
Chase
ugly
Stokes.
kids get the pretty surgery
Oh
and
my
then
God.
become evil.
Yeah. The poster
Like,
was insane.
It's like, I had Chat GPT read Divergent and then make the worst possible movie out of that.
Yeah.
That's what you're looking at here.
Wasn't it? Aren't they like supposed to be like 16, 18 years old? And
Yes.
Chase Stokes is like 31 years old. And
Pretty much everyone is distractingly old.
yeah. Oh, dude. That's like,
Half the movie is like montages of people flying on hoverboards. Like, it's not 2007. No one's going to be impressed by your shit CGI hoverboards.
yeah, that is throwing out the young adult novels in the year 2024. It's
We're a decade past
yeah,
this.
that's like Hunger Games, Maze Runner. That was quite the time to be alive for some of our younger listeners. But yeah, that's our top three, bottom three. Once the Oscar nominations come out, if you guys like this movie part, I'm sure 80% of you guys stopped watching once we delve into that. But yeah, we'll probably go over that. We're a hockey and a media movie podcast. But yeah, we needed to stretch this bitch out to like 45 minutes, and hope you guys enjoyed. We'll be seeing the next one. Maybe we'll have an emergency pod if JT Miller
ever gets traded.
It won't be like a long one. It'll be like 15, 20-minute like rapid reaction. But yeah, let us know in the comments what do you think. We'll be seeing the next one. Peace.